Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and get airborne with our second event of our Full Throttle series. Give me a vertical thumbs up or vertical head nod if you can hear me and see me. Going to have a very good action-packed morning with our primary live trade brief. Give me a hell yeah if you're one of my members and you made over $1,100 since yesterday on your weekly options SPX bull put spread. Just sent out an alert to get out of that trade. It could make $1,700 by Friday. You never know what the Fed's going to do tomorrow. I would take profits on that. So everybody should have gotten that alert. And I'm talking to my members. For folks who aren't my members yet, you're getting to eavesdrop during my normal primary live trade brief, which is every Tuesday at 10 a.m. So you're joining about 200, 300 members right now, and we have over 6,000 people registered for this Full Throttle week. So let's go ahead and get airborne because we have a lot of stuff to get covered. For those of you who didn't get a chance to attend last night, you need to watch the replay. This is the replay page. I was just showing you this stuff as we were waiting to get started, so hopefully you got this link. If you didn't attend last night, this is a must watch, okay? This is the replay page, and this is going to be where you can watch all of the sessions from this week, okay? So, Kevin, yep, just closed the SPX trade. Thanks, good one, Wiz. Sweet. Fish, hell yes, great trade, less contracts. Good job, Fish. One day profit, man, one shot, one kill, it's good to go. So, folks, the primary live trade brief that I'm doing right now will be on this page as soon as we're done, and then the stuff for the rest of the week. So this is a must watch one more time for those of you who did not attend last night, okay? It's the in brief. We talked about our strategic, operational, and tactical methodology, the acronym NOT FEAR 2017, and also I went through in depth the 7-step trade plan. Not going to do all that stuff this morning because I don't want to waste people's time who attended last night and also who paid attention to all that stuff. You need to register for my daily sit rep. It's free, name and email. I do this every day. I do a Monday market outlook, a Friday market wrap up, and obviously a sit rep Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So it's free, like I said, name and email. Even if you don't become a member at TGO, you're going to want to listen to my daily rants because I also throw out some potential trades. I put the weekly options trade out there yesterday in my sit rep. And for those of you who aren't even members, could have made $1,100 in a day. So that's a must register for as well. Okay, so name right there, email right there, and you'll get my daily sit rep. And then finally, the last tactical item I'm going to give you, do me a favor and follow me at WizCheck6, not just because that's on Twitter, but because you need to go to StockTwits and start following that page. Don't get paid by StockTwits. I know the guy that founded it, but I care about you because this is a very, very good resource. Joan, I think it was you who asked, hey, Wiz, appreciate your politics or whatever and your view on the market. Where do you get all your stuff? I'm going to show you where I get all my intelligence. But this is a very, very good page. This is a very, very good resource. StockTwits, if you haven't heard of it, after our webinar, maybe go take a drive around StockTwits because this is it's a decent resource for you guys as traders. Okay, here's the flight schedule. Last night we knocked out our welcome aboard at 8 p.m. Eastern. Had a good time. I went over by 5 minutes. It was supposed to be an hour and 15 minutes, but a lot of good questions at the end there. And so I stayed a little bit longer, but watch the replay. We're in the primary live trade brief right now. For my primary live trade brief members, I'm not going to be going through all of our trades in this today. I'm not going to do a portfolio review. I'm going to do a separate video for my members after this and go through all my adjustments to our existing positions, okay? I'm going to try and get through two trades today, 2 new trades. So that'll be for you guys as well, along with our folks that are attending our open house, okay? And then this afternoon, I'm going to do an urgent alert. I was going to do it on getting short volatility and doing a bearish double vertical on VXX, but we'll take a look here with the market rally if that's still a good trade. Tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, I'm going to do our accelerated retirement live trade brief. I managed 4 portfolios here at TGO. You got to see the primary. You're getting to see the PLTB this morning. You'll get to see the urgent alert this afternoon in a video I send out to everybody. And then tomorrow you're going to get to see accelerated retirement. And then tomorrow night, you're going to meet Doug Robertson, our volatility arbitrage trader. He's going to give you vertical spread training. And then Thursday morning, you join Doug at 9 a.m. for his live trade brief. He'll also send out an advanced trade alert, which is one of his separate services. And then Friday, we'll do our weekly options brief, okay? I sent out a weekly, we usually do our weekly options brief every Monday at 1, but I was hosting a trader roundtable and couldn't do it. But I still sent out a weekly options trade yesterday. Like I said, that's up $1,100 right now, and I just sent out an alert to trade it, okay? So here's what we're going to do this morning. Here's a quick review. It's every Tuesday at 10 a.m. All times are Eastern, obviously. I'm going to do a quick intro. Like I said, I'm not going to waste time doing everything I talked about last night. It's not fair to everybody who attended. I know some of you just who joined me from Market Fest last week. We just got a list of all the leads of the folks who attended. So maybe you guys didn't get a chance to watch last night. Watch the replay. A quick review of our performance. I'm going to give a strategic and operational brief about what's going on in the markets. Dow's literally at record highs, folks. We have never been up here before, and I'm going to give you my strategic and operational brief about what can reach out and touch us and knock us down, or what's going to propel us higher. Okay. Also, if you didn't get a copy of the trade plan, the one-page trade plan, it's go down to your little control panel, your GoToWebinar control panel, and there's a handout down there. You should see it. It says TGO Trade Plan, one-page PDF. Everybody see that? Give me a vertical head nod if you can, and make sure you click on that and download it. A lot of you downloaded it last night, but if this is your first session this morning, you probably didn't get a chance to download that yet. Okay, so make sure you download that right now, and you can pull that thing up. Okay, then I'm going to take a look at the primary portfolio. I'm going to show you all my positions in the primary portfolio to show you how we have a diversified portfolio. And then I'm going to take a look at some new trades. I want to get to at least 2. So if it feels like you're drinking from a fire hose, that's on purpose, okay? Because we're opening up our doors to our squadron, so you're getting to view normal flight operations. And if it looks a little chaotic, it's not. There's a method to all of this madness, and there's a reason we turn a lot of people away. At the end of the week, we're only taking 50 of you, and we have 6,000 people interested. So it's going to be Goldman Sachs and most likely Apple, and we'll take a look at that here. Tech is getting back on the horse today, and very happy with that, along with our SPX trade. So, folks. Again, I'm going to beat this into your head, because if you're not viewing trading as a form of combat, you're going to get your ass kicked, period. You're a form of liquidity to Wall Street, folks, and that's the way they view you. You're cordwood, you're liquidity, and I'm going to even the odds, okay? If you didn't get a chance to attend last night, quick intro. My name is Matthew Buckley. My call sign is Wiz. Going forward, you can call me Wiz. Flew the Hornet for the Navy for 15 years. Graduated from the Navy Fighter Weapons School, which you guys know is Top Gun. Thank God for the Top Gun movie Part 2, right? And I also flew 44 combat sorties over Iraq off the Abraham Lincoln and the USS Kitty Hawk. How you doing, right? How are you doing today? Here's how our members are doing. SPX weekly bull put spread up $1,100 in one day. I sent this alert out yesterday, and then as you guys were sitting here watching my screens move around, what did I do? I sent out a closing alert. If filled on yesterday's SPX bull put spread, I would close for a nice $1,125, 75% gain in one day. Never know what's going to happen with the Fed tomorrow. Better to take profits here. Also should have closed the VXX bullish double vertical and got bearish on vol yesterday. Whiz. Let me get a hell yeah. I know my members are all saying closed it, thanks, good trade, Wiz. Let me get a hell yeah for my potential new members. If you would like to would have loved to have made $1,100 since yesterday. Since yesterday at what time, guys? What time did that alert go out? 10 a.m., 11 a.m.? In 24 hours, my members made $1,100. Good. That's a rhetorical question, but I'm glad you guys can see the value of the TGO system here. Put on that bull put spread yesterday and got out of it today. Those are weekly options. Those are quick strike, in and out, man. Today, we're not going to focus on weekly options. I'm going to focus on the front month with maybe an Apple trade, and then I'm going to focus on the back month, January 19, and we're going to talk about Goldman Sachs. It's time to get long-term bullish on Goldman Sachs, and it's definitely good pickings. Told you guys that my background is I was a managing director of strategy for one of the largest vol arb firms in the world, Peak 6 Investments, $2.5 billion firm located right there in the Chicago Board of Trade. Kind of felt like a fish out of water on that. Becky's like, hell yeah. And then I was the founder and CEO of the Options News Network, ONN.TV. We shot on the floor of the CBO and the CBOT every day, and it was kind of the CNBC for options. So it was pretty cool. We had an absolute blast. Also, one of my most important jobs right there is commanding officer of a pretty cool squadron of junior flight members, right? Okay, here we go. 2016 performance, real quick. Our record year. The portfolio you're going to get to see this morning, returned 125% return on risk for 188 grand. The urgent alert, which you're going to see this afternoon, and the weekly options, which it's the same portfolio. Since I only do 1 or 2 weekly options trades, I kind of combine them in one. $1.21 with 106%. And then my worst performing portfolio, right? We call it my embarrassment portfolio, was up 101% for 100 grand return. How many of you would like your retirement portfolio to be up 101% return in a year? Look at our JP Morgan trades, man. One of our JP Morgan's trades I closed in November or December, a $35,000 trade, one trade on JP Morgan. Okay, so take a look at this. Because men lie, numbers don't. Let's take a look at the JP Morgan trade that's currently airborne in this portfolio. Where is it? Right here. This trade is up $25,000, 25 grand since we put this on, what, 9 months ago. So this is averaging, oh man, mental math. This is averaging about what, $2,500 a month since we put this JP Morgan trade on, folks. One trade. How many of you would like to make potentially 25 grand in 9 months? These trades I'm going to show you, I'm going to use Goldman Sachs this morning. Slow and steady wins the race with these long call diagonals. And eventually you wake up one day and they're $25,000, $30,000, $35,000 trades. One trade, folks. So don't get this is why we have a broad, diverse group of portfolios. We trade weekly options, which are very tactical, in and out. Placed it yesterday, we're out today. That can hurt too, right? A couple weeks ago, couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Now we're back on our weekly options horse, and my win rate is back above 90%. Ta-da! Exactly, Susan. Well put. So the yes, audio has started. Hold on, folks. If you can't hear, log in and out. If you can't hear, log in and out. Send that to all. A couple people are like, has audio started? Well, they can't hear me. So, all right, folks. But anyway, so my retirement portfolio, it's so funny that I say it's my worst performing portfolio when hedge funds would kill to have this type of performance. I covered this last night, folks. We have losing trades. Our objective is to win the war. Losing trades happen. There are some unknowns out there. We laughed about the Google name change to Alphabet that blew me out of a weekly options trade. Though that happens not that often, but it happens, and you have to just kind of shake your head at those and go, those happen. If you freak the hell out at a losing trade, you're not going to fit in here as a member at TGO. They happen. You need to go to some place where they promise you 100% winning trades, and a fool and his money or her money are soon parted. Okay, so let's go ahead and get airborne with our primary live trade brief. Here's the brief you're going to get this morning. It's SOT, strategic, operational, and tactical. Many of you, if you weren't here this morning, would have your bunny slippers on. You'd be drinking your cup of coffee going, all right, where's the trades? Okay, Tesla. I love Tesla. Give me Tesla. It's not how it's going to work, folks. Here at TGO this morning, I'm going to give you a brief on what's going around the world globally, politically, militarily, economically, folks. You know, a couple years ago, 2.5 years ago, I'll bet you most of you in this room couldn't even point out the island of Cyprus on a map. It almost went bankrupt. Futures, you know, the market over here traded down several days in a row, and you're like, what the hell does Cyprus have to do with my Apple position? A lot. We're a global economy. So after I give you a strategic brief this morning, we're going to get operational and take a look at what's going on here in the United States. General Sessions is going to be testifying. Are we going to see the market sell off on that? No. The Fed's tomorrow. We got retail sales numbers. We have a lot of stuff going on this week. And then and only then can we trade and get tactical. As many of you heard last night, there's no such thing as an option strategy. They are tactics. An iron condor, a long call diagonal, they are tactics. A strategy is saving for college, short-term income generation, buying a boat in 6 months, risk management. It's not an iron condor. That is a tactic. Okay, so we're going to take a look strategically today at a long call diagonal on Goldman Sachs. Operationally, we might take a look at front month vertical spread on Apple. And then tactically, I just showed you a weekly options trade in one day closed for an $1,125 gain. 75% return in a day, folks. So by Friday, I'm going to show you that I've more or less paid, or I've actually paid in one day for a full throttle annual membership by Friday. 2 trades in one day. Okay? Weekly options. Trading is a form of combat, folks. somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. And like I said, with Top Gun options, you're going to be on the winning side of that trade a hell of a lot more often than not. You ain't going to be that dude. You're going to be the one that shot his ass down. Okay? I reviewed this acronym last night. I'm not going to get into it this morning, but you have to remember, not fear 2017. We have North Korea, we have oil, we got Trump, we got the Fed and financials, we have earnings, we have Asia, and we have Russia. Those are the big centers of gravity that are moving this market around in 2017, and I have trades more or less in all of those. So watch the replay if you have no idea what that acronym means, okay? I'm not going to cover all of those. Let's blow through these and get airborne. I love trade. Can't stand PowerPoint slides. You guys know I'm not a PowerPoint slide guy. So real quick review of our 7-step trade plan, and then we're going to employ this. Remember, I use a demo-do approach. I'm going to demonstrate our trade plan, and then we're going to do live in the market here. So first thing we need to determine is our strategic mindset. Okay, then we identify the target we're going to trade. And then I'm going to give you commit criteria, those 3 to 5 sentences of why I'm going to commit capital to this trade. Why am I committing my F-18 downrange and pointing at bad guys? Well, they've done these 3 to 5 things. All right, Wiz, go get them. That's called commit criteria. Why are you going to spend your hard-earned money, your blood, sweat, and tears on a trade? If you shrug your shoulders and go, I don't know, I like Apple, I have an iPhone. That ain't good enough, folks. You have got to hit me with 3 to 5 laser-like sentences that make me go, why am I not in that trade? It's your elevator pitch. Then we're going to select our tactic, which today is going to be a bull put spread and also a long call diagonal. And if you don't know what the hell those things are, but you know what a call is and a put is, you're home. I'm going to teach you, okay? If you just know what a call is and a put is, you're armed and ready to go. I'm going to take you and make you better. Then we're going to talk about the tactical employment. How do we do a long call diagonal specifically? Buying these disaster puts, buying these and selling these calls. I'm going to walk you through each trade today. And then we're going to talk about mid-course guidance. What happens if this trade starts moving against us? What happens if it blows out and goes for us? We're going to determine before we squeeze the trigger on a trade when we're going to get in and when we're going to get out, when we're going to exit for min-loss or maximum gain. Okay? Very, very quick and dirty review of what we covered last night. Watch the replay for the last time. We don't want to be this guy, but if we have a bad day, we do want to be this guy, okay? We want to land in our Hornet every time. We want our number of takeoffs to equal our number of landings. But if we're going to have a very, very bad day, we're going to make the decision to get out of that trade before we even have a bad day, okay? So give that jet back to the taxpayers and then go get a new one and get airborne again, okay? We never want to put all of our chips in on any one trade and not live to fight again, okay? So here we go. Perfect, on timeline. Wanted that to be 15 minutes, that's 17 minutes. Excellent. So here we go, folks. Let's go ahead and bring up our all of our stuff here. Let's start with a quick review. Globally, folks, I said we're going to have the Bank of England and also Japan and Switzerland are meeting. I don't think Mario Draghi is going to have anything earth-shattering to say, or Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda. I think they're going to continue a little bit of their punch bowls, and I think things are going to be ops normal. Okay, so Mario, I'll save that towards the end. Well, I'll answer it briefly because Mario said, what size account do you need to trade with your system? I can't tell you that. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an RIA, a registered investment advisor. But if you can, I think most brokerage firms require, what is it, a grand, $2,000 to open an account or trade with margin. I'm going to tell you, Mario, what Top Gun Options is all about. It's like you're standing on the floor of the SIBO, eavesdropping over my shoulder, getting to watch a professional trader in action. So for example, if yesterday, let me pull up my SPX bull put spread from yesterday. Where is it? SPX 612. So here it is. Actually, let me pull up the actual trade. So Mario, this is yesterday. I sent out an alert, excuse me, to sell 15 of Friday. Technically, this trade expires Thursday afternoon. Okay, the last day to trade this weekly trade, there's a little in-depth explanation. I'll tell you when you remember, but technically the last day to manage this trade would be Thursday afternoon as the closing bell sounds, okay? But I said sell the 2014 puts and buy the 2410s. I did 15 contracts, okay? Why? Well, Mario, I have what is called SOPs, Standard Operating Procedures. So right here, guys, and I'm going to teach you today, never, ever, ever look at the smiley face first. I guarantee you, as soon as this image came up, 90% of you, except the 10% who are my current members, looked at this guy first, or gal, although she doesn't have any hair. Why? Because you're trained to look at green and happy. Don't ever do that. I am going to teach you today, and as a member, you always look at max potential loss first. Why? Well, folks, if you're not okay with potentially losing $5,900, why even look at what you could make? If you look at, well, Wiz, I want to make $1,600 by Friday. But if you lose $5,900, are you going to be pissed? Is it going to blow you out? Yeah, then don't do it. Okay? For what it's worth, I did 30. Others probably did 1 or 2. Anyway, good discussion so far. Thanks, Kevin. Exactly, Kevin. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's why I did 15 contracts. So, and there's a perfect example. Some of my members are trading 30 contracts in this trade, double what I do. One of my commanding officers club, my personal clients, which is the highest service at TGO, he's a billionaire, and he traded about 50 of these contracts, okay? I traded 15 because my SOP, my standard operating procedure, says I don't want to risk more than 5% on any one trade in my model portfolio. 5% of my $100,000 model portfolio is $5,000. Well, Wiz, that's $5,900. I get it. Guess what? I'm the commanding officer. I own my airplane. I signed for the jet. I run the squadron. I'm okay with it being a little bit north of that. Okay? Now, since I looked at max loss first and go, it's going to suck if that happens, but I'm okay with it. It's right around what my SOP says. Now I can look at Mr. Happy and go, well, hell, there's using current at the money volatility, there's a 72% probability of making $1,600. And actually, guys, this is an old thing because when I sent out the alert, I said plus or minus 10 cents. So this was $1.05. And actually, when I sent out the alert, it was the price was $1.15, and this is $17.25. Okay, so and look at the break even here, guys. Let's round up, if you allow me to go to 75%. Think of this intuitively. 3 out of 4 times this trade makes at least breaks even, or pretty close to max profit. It's a hell of a trade, guys. So Mario, I think you asked about it. I can't tell you how many contracts to trade. If you're using real capital, you got to be talking to somebody, with one of those letters after their name, because you're getting to watch what I do. What you do on your side of the computer is your own business, but everybody has to come up with their own SOP. Wiz, I appreciate that. You're a 5% of your portfolio. Some of my members are 10%, some are 2%, some are 1%, some are 50%. I can't tell you. You bet. You're welcome, Mario. Very good question. Glad you asked that. Okay, so I'm going to do a very, very abbreviated strategic and operational brief because I want to get to 2 trades. Okay, I don't want to run out of time. Usually the primary live trade brief is an hour and a half. We go from about 10 to 11:30. So I'm going to try and stay on my flight schedule. So we're going to get some inflation numbers. Excuse me. Retail sales, and also some China industrial production numbers. And I'm going to show you that we have some trades in FXI as well. So, but here's, this is great news. This rally here, folks, I call this the hope and change rally. And I'm not poking at Obama. You're going to hear me poke at that guy, the Manchurian candidate. But this rally, folks, was built on a lot of hope that Trump can get tax reform passed, financial deregulation, and also infrastructure spending. Okay? So, but guess what? He hadn't done anything. I thought you were a dyed-in-the-wool Trump supporter. I'm not. I think the guy's got a screw loose. He lost me when he said he'd be honored to meet Kim, the dictator of North Korea, and he's a smart cookie. That's just retarded. The guy's mental, okay? Don't like him personally, and my sister knows him very well. She runs Dune Capital in New York. She knows Donald Trump very well. My sister runs a REIT, and my sister, her name's Kia Buckley. You can Google it. She got the Woman of the Year award in New York a couple years ago. So I had dinner with Steve Mnuchin, our Treasury Secretary. Khan was there, and also that was his name, the criminal from Jersey, Corzine. So guys, the guy's policies are good. His delivery is awful. So here's what I'm getting at. Finally, Mnuchin is getting around to what? Finally gutting Franken-Dodd. Does everybody know what the Volcker rule is? Look at this. Trump regulation plan makes for pleasant reading on Wall Street. Look at this sub-headline, guys, and I'm starting to give you my strategic mindset and commit criteria for the Goldman Sachs trade I'm going to give you. Treasury Department's report on bank regulation recommends several changes, look at this, that would greatly benefit Wall Street institutions. Yep, look at this. Trump lays out highly anticipated plan to overhaul bank rules. Goldman Sachs is so happy about it. The Volcker rule, folks, starts to poke around investment banks, former investment banks, proprietary trading arms. Steve Mnuchin and the Trump administration gutting Franken-Dodd is very, very, very freaking bullish for the financial stocks. Now they've had they had a great run, and then they've kind of faded as we saw a nice big sector rotation into tech. It's time for the financials to get airborne again. Why is it time for the financial stocks to get airborne again? Because the Fed is also going to raise. There's looking at the Fed funds futures rate. Say that 10 times fast. There's a 90% probability that they raise rates tomorrow. So I covered this last night. When interest rates are high, stocks will die. When interest rates are low, stocks will grow. Well, folks, when interest rates are high, some stocks will die. Guess which ones will grow? Financials. They need higher interest rates, man. They want to loan out money to all of us and stick it to us with higher interest rates. They need it. So not only, I'm kind of giving you my commit criteria. I'm fumbling through it right now, but I'll give it to you laser-like in a couple minutes. So, George, don't I think that the Fed interest rate, and guys, I'm not ignoring your questions. With over 6,000 people registered for this week, here's why I'm going to tell you right now. Here's why we only do 50 slots anytime we do a full throttle, maybe 3 times a year. I can't handle a zoo in my live trade briefs. It's making my skin crawl seeing some of the great questions fly by. We keep our squadron very, very tight. So in the live trade brief, you get one-on-one attention. But when I see really good ones, I'm gonna read them. I think it's based in, Greg. I think the one interest rate increase that's not is the fall one. Goldman kicked back a September rise to December. So I think this one is priced in. It's a great point. But it's still, you still will see a bump tomorrow out of the financials when the Fed raises interest rates, okay? So it is priced in maybe to the overall market. I don't think with the financials, okay? Goldman, the Fed will hike this week, but here are the 2 most interesting questions. So first, will Fed officials alter their policy views in response to the what? We saw a pretty crappy GDP a couple weeks ago. We saw bad unemployment numbers. What else do you know? Will the press conference provide some clarity on the next tightening step following the June hike? That's the fall. So it'll be interesting tomorrow to see what's going on with the Fed. All right, I want to get cruising here. We talked about the VIX last night, volatility. I'm most likely going to talk about volatility during my urgent alert video this afternoon. So I don't take time on that today. It's time for us to get long Apple. I love when Apple kind of rolls over a little bit. All these really, all these houses, Pacific Crest, never heard of it. I have. Mizuho downgraded. It's like a feeding frenzy. Apple ain't going anywhere, guys. I get it. Tim Cook is no Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was a tyrant. He was a whiteboard guy. He'd get up, throw stuff on a whiteboard and go, this is awesome. Look at me. I'm brilliant. And then he'd turn around to a Tim Cook type of guy and say, go make it. You and your booger eaters, go make this cool thing. Tim Cook ain't Steve Jobs. However, they still have a lot of really, really cool guys. And I'll show you our Jan 19 Apple trades. Let's take a look at our Jan 19 Apple trades. This is a primary live trade brief portfolio. Look at this year-to-date gain on this Apple Jan 18 position, $11,725. That's a Jan 18 trade. Look at my Jan 19 trade. It's up over 13 grand. It's actually beating one that expires a year before it. So for my members who got in this trade when I recommended it, it's up 54% year-to-date, over $13,000. Okay. So love, love, love our Apple long term. We're going to take a look at trading the front month on Apple in a couple minutes. So here's what happens, folks. The XLK tech stocks Friday afternoon was just brutal. That was momentum trading. That wasn't on fundamentals, guys. Remember, until the machines become self-aware and kill all of us, there is some human involvement. But once an Apple starts going down, it's all the algorithmic trading starts eating on each other, and it goes even lower, 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 faster. We're going to get a bump off this bottom here. I get you never want to catch a falling knife, but guess what, folks? I don't think, you can never go wrong being long technology, especially at the Jan of 2019, okay? And here's when you know you might be at a bottom of something. Traders are buying the most NASDAQ downside protection since Lehman Brothers. That's usually, when do idiots buy hurricane insurance in South Florida? When there's a tropical depression over the Bahamas and we have a hurricane watch. That's dumb. You know when you buy hurricane insurance in South Florida? Today, when it's beautiful out and hurricane insurance is cheap. So this is why that VXX bullish double vertical yesterday, my members made a nice 24% gain in under a week. Okay, when vol is cheap, you buy it. When vol is expensive, you sell it. Vol is expensive now with these downside puts. So I think this is a little bit of a capitulation in the tech sector. Okay. All right, almost done with our strategic and operational brief, and then we get what? Tactical. This is starting to come together, guys. Remember that pyramid, S-O-T, strategic, operational, tactical. If you expected to come into this live trade brief this morning and go, okay, good morning, let's start trading. Here's a trade. You're very tactical and you're not going to fit in here, folks. You can go to some other service that just shoots out trades to you and you sit there and place them and have no idea. That's dumb. That's like me throwing a rifle at a Marine and go, hey, march in this direction and kill people. Why, sir? Just do it. Is there any buy-in with that Marine towards the mission? What's the morale like? There's no buy-in, folks. So before you place any trade, you got to go through this trade plan that we're going to review. You ready? Step one, let's get airborne and do some trading and get tactical. Right on timeline. Very good. My strategic mindset right now for this market is cautiously bullish. What do I mean by that? And that's not a politician talking like, oh, you're really going out on a limb. It is, folks. I've been cautiously bullish about 75% of the time. I turned neutral in here, and I actually got a little bearish right around here. I am back to being cautiously bullish. The cautiously part means this is a hold your nose rally, right? Meaning I'm going to bid this market higher. You have to trade the market you have, not the market you want. Not that I want a down market, folks, but when you look, I go around the country speaking. You guys know that. I see what's going on in corporate America. It ain't sunshine and lollipops, guys. Look at the unemployment report from last week, 2 weeks ago. Look at the GDP numbers. I don't care what Trump says. Of course the guy's going to pump how many jobs he's making. No offense to bartenders, busboys, waiters, waitresses, and house cleaning staff at hotels. They ain't exactly high-tech jobs or manufacturing jobs. So Trump, throttle back, dude. When the quality of the jobs gets right, awesome. But right now, cautiously bullish means to me that it's a hold your nose rally. We're going to grind higher, but we have to have our hedges on. Like that VXX hedge, many of you didn't see because you're just joining us, but we put on a volatility hedge last week. I said something's going to happen to freak this market the hell out in the next couple weeks, and it worked great. So here we go. Step one, I'm cautiously bullish. Step two, the target that I want to identify is for my two trades today are Apple and Goldman Sachs. So real quick, here is the primary live trade brief model portfolio. And I have zero time to go through all these because I want to cover at least two trades. I have Apple, AIG, Brazil, China, Goldman, ignore Nike, it sucks, Russia, technology, or ignore the XOP, and ExxonMobil, got an energy. So nice, broad, diversified portfolio. The first, let me do a quick sip of coffee. I'm a benevolent dictator. I mean, I'm going to cover both trades, but which one do we want to see first? A long call diagonal on Goldman Sachs or an Apple front month trade? Go, because I need some coffee. Apple got blown out of the water to begin with. Okay, so my first target today in our primary live trade brief is going to be Apple. Okay, so here we go. Let's take a look at Apple. Let's bring up the chart. Apple, guys, last week we had the WWD, Worldwide Developers Conference. It was kind of a shrug of the shoulders, guys. So let me tell you something about how I trade. In the primary live trade brief model portfolio, look at this. The Apple trades I just showed you, one's almost up to 12 grand and this one's up to 13.5 right now. So I'd have two trades on Apple here. I'd be trading a Jan 19 position, which when you become a member this week, we open our slots tomorrow after accelerated retirement, guys. So make sure you're here. I already got emails and support from last night. I didn't even do any trades last night and people wanted to sign up. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I fire the starting gun tomorrow after accelerated retirement and we open the slots. But you need a Jan. Think about this intuitively. If you have a strategic mindset on Apple out to Jan 19, Wiz, love Apple until Jan 19, I'm with you, I believe you. Well, if you have a strategic mindset on Apple out to Jan 19, why wouldn't you be trading the front month on Apple too? You should have a short-term strategic mindset as well. Isn't that cool? So, now I'm not going to cover the Options House platform, guys. When you guys become members and we go through our training, I'll cover the legacy versus regular one. We need to be trading here. So I'm going to take a look at our commit criteria in a couple seconds. The tech sell-off on Friday was not based on fundamentals. It was based on traders and momentum. Apple tends to stair step, ladies and gentlemen, and I could show you the 6-month chart. You ready? We got a gap up and then stair step. Look at this. Up, it's stair steps. This is a very, very rare event for Apple to go down 5% in a day on what? Nothing. Well, you said the WWDC wasn't that good. Folks, I've traded Apple since it was an acorn. I remember recommending it at a money show in Vegas at $80. I still have the slides. $81 I recommended Apple. So this trade, I'm not going to say isn't for the faint of heart, but guys, this could be a dead cat bounce. And no offense to the feline lovers in the audience, that's a Wall Street term, meaning how high does a dead cat bounce? About that high, and then it could what? Go back down. I really don't, folks. If you loved Apple up here around 150, you got to love it at 146, okay? So I think Apple gets some wind back in its sails, and I'm bullish on it. So this level right here is where I'm going to take a look at, because this was resistance and it was support around this 144 level, okay? So 144, I think we hold this. And we're going to have a kind of a heads up if it is a dead cat bounce, if this thing starts heading back down from here. I'm going to talk to you in a couple minutes when I place this trade about my adjust and eject levels. I have 2 levels in a trade that if it moves against me, I know that I need to start thinking about doing something. So, commit criteria. The tech sell-off on Friday was based on momentum and black box algorithms and was not based on fundamentals. The WWDC was not a big letdown, but it really wasn't something to get super bullish on. I believe Apple is way oversold at this point, and I am short-term bullish. Now I'm pausing for effect, folks, because if you can't do that before you place a trade, or you can't do that and look at every current position in your portfolio and rip off 3 to 5 sentences about why you're in it, why are you in it? Did that sound pretty good? That was about 3 to 5 sentences of why I'm going to commit capital to this trade. Does everybody understand that commit criteria, step 3 of the trade plan, it's critical? It's maddening to me when I bump into people who aren't TGO members and I'm in this trade, and I go, why? And they kind of give me a blank look like, that's how people get killed in combat, folks. That's how you get killed in trading. Good, Lars. Excellent. All right. A lot of people saying yes, commit criteria. Steve, I've never heard that term before, but I am going to use it going forward. Well, Steve, even if you don't become a member, it looks like you learned something this week. I appreciate it. Robert, yes. Okay, good. Now, the tactic. This is pretty easy, folks. Step 4. The tactic, obviously, if you don't think something's going to go lower, not necessarily it's going higher. No, I said if you don't think something's going lower, it is called a bull put spread. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring up my Apple options chain, and this is going to be, I'm going to go a couple weeks out. I'm going to go out to June 30th. Why? Because I want some time for this trade to work, okay? I'm not going out to next Friday. That's too tactical, okay? Susan, I looked at my positions last night and this morning and did just what you said. Exactly, Susan. I challenge you to go through each position in your portfolio and see if you can ripple off 3 to 5 sentences without, I'm not saying sit there and look at it for 15 minutes and go, aha, now I know. If you can't do it immediately, you're trading wrong. So hopefully that was a good exercise, Susan. So I'm going to go out to June 30th expiration. All these are the expirations up here. And I'm going to take a look at that 144 level. That was that level that I had support and resistance before we had the holy crap, technology's imploding, it's the end of the world. No, it's not. So at least on my Options House platform, I'm going to click Create Spread. And here's what's cool. This is why I use Options House. Up pop the most common tactics that we can use. Vertical spread, straddles, condors, iron condors. And I just click Vertical Spread. So I'm going to take a look at the 144, 143 bull put spread. And real quick, I want to do something. I'll be right back. I want to take a look at my risk. And then I'll come back to you. Oh, man, I am good. I got that right on the first shot. All right, here we go. I'm going to sell. So here's the tactical employment. Step 5. Everybody should have that one-page trade plan with them. As you know what, Wiz is going through this just like a fighter pilot, just like an airline pilot. He's going through his checklist. Step 5, tactical employment. I'm going to sell 75 of the June 30 144 puts. All right, Wiz, why 75? Give me 2 minutes and I'm going to tell you why I am doing 75 contracts of the 144 puts. Why the 144s? I just showed you that line before we had a good up move. That's going to be the next support level. Why June 30th? I just answered that. I don't want to do out the next Friday. That's too tactical. I want to go out at least 2 weeks to give this trade some time to work. In a market like this, where we're kind of having some up and downs like this, I want to keep my trades a little tighter, maybe 3 weeks. Folks, when Ben Bernanke was the Fed chief, we'd be doing bull put spreads that were a month out. Why? Because the market was doing this. But folks, when you're one tweet away from a 300-point pullback in the Dow, you want to keep the leash a little tighter on your trades, okay? So when I sell 75 of the June 30 144 puts, that's me saying, hey, Apple, I don't think you're going to be below 144 by June 30th. All right, Wiz, you had me at hello. However, what if you're wrong? Tim Cook, it turns out tomorrow he's the Antichrist and Apple goes to 0. Well, that's going to suck. But I'm buying 75 of the 143 puts. So I am long Apple below 143 puts, which my bleeding stops. If Apple implodes on this trade, it's the 143 puts, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, this is called and I know when a lot of you came in options trading, it's frustrating because a trade can be called a couple things, right? I usually call my trades what the direction is. This, I'm bullish on Apple. I'm using puts, and it's a spread. You ready? Bull, put, spread. Now, some of you will look down here and go, well, Wiz, it's called a credit spread. I get it. Of course it's a credit spread. I'm selling something. When I sell my house or a car, I bring in a credit. So I don't call it a credit spread. I also don't call it a vertical spread. I call it what the tactic is and what I'm using. It's a bull put spread. So, and I know one of you guys asked last night, like, well, Wiz, I work. Well, folks, 80% of my members work for a living. So here's what I do. If you can't make a live trade brief, I take a screenshot of the trade. Apple. What's today's date? 6/13. I take a screenshot of the trade, and you're going to get an email and a text alert or an email alert with this trade. You can be, folks, I can run Top Gun options. You can be a member. If I can run Top Gun options from this thing, you can be sitting in death by meeting going, yeah, it's a great point, boss. All right, Apple bull puts red fire. So let me click create order. And I'm going to go mid-market. Do not ever come in at the bid or the ask. I'll teach you all this stuff, folks, but let's go mid-market. And I'm going to click analyze. Now, everybody, bring up your window of me if you can see me visually. Why do I want you to see me? Because I'm going to turn into a Catholic nun. Even if you don't know what a Catholic nun looks like, well, hopefully it ain't me, but I'm going to have my ruler. I'm going to be Sister Mary Matthew Buckley. And when I click this analyze button, I want you to look at one thing and only one thing. And if you don't, Sister Mary Matthew is going to crack your knuckles with the ruler. Not to say that that ever happened to me in my childhood. Of course it did. So you ready for this? A lot of people didn't like that visual. You got it, Suzanne. You ready? I want you to look at one place and one place only. It's the sad face in 3, 2, 1. Sad face. I want you to always look at max potential loss first. Why? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not okay with this, you ain't doing this. I told you, and I will tell you again until I'm blue in the face, I have an SOP that says I don't want to risk more than $5,000 on any one trade. Why? That's me, folks. I've been doing this for almost a quarter of a century. I like 5% of my model portfolio. You might be 2.5. Some of you might be doing 150 contracts on this. That's none of my business. Okay? So it's right around $5,000, folks. That's okay. That's in my SOP. Now I can go up to max potential profit and go, yeah, hell yeah, I'd love to make $2,300. And using current at the money volatility, there's a 64% probability of this happening. Now I can look at Mr. I don't know what you call him. Mr. I'm okay. The break even. There's a 66% probability of at least breaking even on this trade. So what do I do right now? You're in a live trade brief, folks. I'm actually showing you. I mean, this is for my members as well. So members, this is our trade, one of our trades, and potential new members. This is a trade for you. A couple things. Take a look at this, guys. I love trading options, and here's why. This trade makes money 3 ways. You ready for this? If you were bullish on Apple, if your neighbor at a cocktail party is like, I'm bullish on Apple, I bought Apple and I hope it goes up. You can look at him or her and go, well, that's stupid. Your trade makes money 3 ways as well. The buy, hope, and pray method. Your neighbor bought it. He hopes and prays that it goes up, not you. As an options trader, this trade, here's the blue line. You see this blue line? That's Apple, the current price of Apple. Apple can go up. We make money. Apple can chop around sideways around this level. We make money. Apple can even go down, ladies and gentlemen, and this trade makes money. Okay? So, Apple heading down. I don't care if Apple's heading down, right, guys? This isn't day trading. If Apple's heading a little bit down right now, who cares? I still like the trade. Richard's filled at 31 cents. So, guys, and take a look at this. Now, I'm going to tell you, you're going to get all the Greeks, okay? Jim, absolutely. With similar 5K loss, would max profit percent be more or less with, guys, you can play with this all day. Let me go back here real quick. If you don't like these probabilities, maybe you do 50 contracts and you do the 143, 142 spread. This is a good this is a good starting spot, okay? Sell 50 of the 143 and 142s. Okay, 50, not 20. It'll change the metrics a little bit. So take a look at this. For those of you, a little bit less risk, a little bit less profit. I could probably still do 75, right? So this might be a little bit more of a conservative trade. If you're sitting there watching it tick by tick and Apple's going down, do this one. Look at the probabilities of this one. $5,500, a little bit more risk, but look at this. You make almost $2,000. Okay, so whoever asked that, let's do this one. The metric I look at most, folks, whoever just asked that question, is what? Max loss. I look at everything, folks. I actually like this trade a little bit better. It's a little bit more conservative. Let's do this one, guys. I just talked myself into it. It's almost the same metrics as the other one, and we have another $1 of cushion. This one's better. So I don't want your eyes to glaze over. So look at this trade, guys. Risking about $5,500 to make $2,000 with a 70% probability of at least breaking even. This is a high probability trade, guys. 70% of the time, this trade at least breaks even. Now, as the options trader in me says that, the attorney in me also says this. That means 30% of the time you what? you get your ass kicked. Silvana, that's the one I was working with, the smiley face. Silvana is a member, and exactly. So folks, remember, and I don't talk about the Greeks, folks. I'll talk about delta in a little bit, but right now I'm going to talk about theta real quick, and I don't want your eyes to glaze over. Theta is easy to remember. It's time decay. When we sell a bull put spread like this, we're the car dealership, folks. When you sell something, what happens? When you sell a car and they pull off your dealership in their midlife crisis, what happens? It starts to depreciate. It decays. So put your eyes down here real quick, down here to theta. You ready? Look at theta. If Apple just sits here, ladies and gentlemen, we make money on time decay. Write this down. Unched, U-N-C-H-D. Unched on the day equals time decay. You know what that means? Exactly, Kev. Unchanged on the day equals time decay. Every day that Apple goes by and it just kind of hangs out, we make money. I'll say it one more time. Unched. It's trader talk for unchanged. If Apple is unchanged on the day, we get time decay. You're going to have a ton of wizism, folks. People, one of my members actually, I think it was on one of my computers that crashed. He made up a full page of wizisms, and I should actually start keeping them. Unchanged on the day equals time decay. So this trade loves theta. All right. So now I'm going to place this order, mid-market. And folks, I'm going to highlight this right here, copy, and I'm going to click fire. Now check this out. Now right now, guys, I'm determining, I sent out an email alert this morning. We also can send out text alerts. Watch this. So if you signed up, when you signed up for Full Throttle on the registration page, you gave us your cell phone number, I'm going to send you a text alert. So watch this. PLTB, that's the portfolio. New Apple bull put spread. 75 contracts. June 30 expiry. I'm going to buy the 142 puts, oops, P-U-T-S, and I'm going to sell the 143s puts at a 28-cent credit. You ready for this, folks? Plus or minus 4 cents. What's that mean? Pay attention to me. I give my members a range I'm going to try and get filled on this trade for today. I'll be willing to go down to a credit of 24 cents or up to a credit of 32. If it gets outside that window, I'm not going to try and get filled on this. JM, that's not what I said. You need to listen, JM. I said I'm conducting a test. Never said I wasn't going to send out text alerts, but I'm going to demonstrate that we can. I said I'd do a test for June, JM. That's exactly what I said. So that's the window, 28 cents. I'll go as low as 24 or I'll go up to 32. Okay? Now, I also put in my alerts the point at which I would adjust a trade and also eject. So the adjust point is, what's that, 60, 56, probably around 50 cents. And I'd eject around, what's that, 50, 56. Uh-oh. Forgot to plug in my computer here. 1 second. Forgot to put the office line. Eject point 58. Okay. So this is a longer discussion for my folks that want to be members. There's 2 points in my trade if it's going against me where I scratch my chin and go, Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, let me blast this out and then I'll explain it to you. I'll go back to the other screen. So for all my members, today I'm going to send out an alert, JM. So I just fired this alert. So if you are sitting, for all the folks who said, Wiz, I work for a living. Well, guess what? There it is right there. I just got a text alert with the trade. That took 2 seconds. We have people in Australia, we have people in China, we have people in Dubai who get it in 2 seconds also. Now I'm going to send it out to you folks. If you gave us your cell phone number, where is it? Full Throttle. If you gave us your number when you registered for Full Throttle, you're going to get a text alert right now. You ready? And there it goes. TR, why the plus or minus? Because you're not going to get filled. All of us, I like giving a range, okay? So for example, right now I sent it out at 28, it's at 27 cents. If it gets too far out of that range, Tim, I think it was Tim, it's either too cheap or too expensive for me, and the metrics are gone for that trade. But let me bring this up real quick. Let me answer this, guys. There's a lot of good questions. Let me get going here. I can't answer them all. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, I brought in a credit, or if I get filled, I'm trying to bring in a credit of 28 cents. Okay? So let me bring out a little spotlight here. So I want, at the end of the day, I want all 27 cents, guys. I want that in my pocket. If this trade, if Apple, you see Apple right here, if it starts moving to the left, going down in price, this goes up. You know, it's almost like golf. You know, wait a minute. You don't want a high score? No, you don't. We don't want this trade to go up to 29 cents, 35, 40. That means the trade's going against us. So for all of you, good. A lot of my people who just registered and gave us your cell phone number got that text alert as well. And sorry, folks, do me a favor. Don't waste time typing in your number right now. It's too late. On the registration page, it said it's optional. If you want to receive text alerts, give us your cell phone number. If you didn't, we can't add it after the phone. You have to become a member. So here's how I come up with my adjust level. If I lose 75% of the credit that I take in, I start scratching my chin and go, what's going on with Apple? Why is it pulling back right now? And should I adjust this trade? Meaning, could I roll it down? Could I roll it down and out? Should I adjust it? Now, the eject level is this, meaning eject. If I wake up one day, I double the credit that I took in. If I wake up one day and this trade's at 54 cents, I mean, out of the blue, bam. That's like me sitting in the F-18 with 2 engine fire lights on, smoke in the cockpit, and my wingman saying, Wiz, you're on fire, eject. That's not the time for me to scratch my chin and go, I wonder if I can save this airplane. I wonder if I can save this trade. When you hit your eject, you get out. You have to watch the replay last night because I did tell you that sometimes 2 engine fire lights on, smoke in the cockpit, I go, you know what? I think I can save this airplane. Those should be few and far between, guys. But when you become a member, I'm going to have an in-depth discussion about adjust and eject. I don't have time today. I appreciate all the questions. This is why you join. We can't give away all our secret sauce, guys, but I have 2 levels in a trade, adjust and eject, if it's going against me. So I covered the mid-course guidance. Now let me cover the exit criteria. Get out at your eject point, or if there's a 7, 8, or 9 profit. Here's what I mean by that. With a credit spread, if I'm seeing a 70, 80, or 90% profit, I start going, I'm getting out of this trade. Kathy, excited, just received the text. Good, Kathy. So, profit target, 70, 80, 90%, I'm out. Loss target, I double the credit that I take in. If I hit that, let's get out of the trade. Steps 1 through 7 of our trade plan complete. Apple trade is airborne and going down range and hopefully going to get filled. What do you guys think? This is pretty shit hot, isn't it? Just ask me. No, I'm not kidding. Folks, this has been honed over the skies of Iraq in naval aviation in a $2.5 billion proprietary trading firm. Rick, absolutely great question. Lars, great thinking. Thanks, Lars. Rick said, did you also recommend adding to the Jan 19 on the current dip? Hell yes. I was torn last night between adding to Apple this morning and show you guys how to add to Apple for Jan 19 or Goldman Sachs. But the financials have been getting the crap beat out of them lately, and they're about to get airborne, especially with the Fed meeting tomorrow. So, yes, I have a Jan 19 Apple that's up. I just showed you 13 grand. I would absolutely add to Apple here. I would put on a new Jan 19 Apple trade. Absolutely. Now, if you're sitting there like, well, Wiz, I'm a potential new member. Well, you got to join by Friday, folks, or hopefully tomorrow as soon as we open the slots. And I'll show you next week during your first real primary live trade brief how to put on a Jan 19 Apple trade, okay? Thor, Jan 19 Apple strike. That's a great question, my friend. I'll see you next Tuesday when you become a member, Thor. I like your wink. This ain't my first rodeo, guys. I appreciate it, though. Everybody wants everything, right, for free. Not going to happen. ain't the United Way of whiz. All right, here we go. Any questions concern? You know what? I'm not going to ask. If you have a question about Apple, if we have time at the end, I have 31 minutes to cover this next trade on Goldman Sachs, okay? And I'd rather do that than answer Apple questions. Join up. I'll talk Apple all you want, okay? Tony's filled at 28. Roger that. I just got filled. Oh, cool. Guys, I'm filled here. Now, I just got filled Apple on the front month. Check this out. Now, I'm going to put my little, you see, at least on the Options House platform, you see this little parachute guy or gal? Don't want to be sexist. If I say guy, you know what I'm talking about. So at least on the Options House platform, I can put in a little, my adjust level. Watch this. So the time frame on this trade is what? The 30th of June. My profit target, listen to me, listen good. I already covered it, I'm going to say it again. My profit target is I want to keep all 28 cents. So my profit target, watch this, is technically zero. Why? Because I want to make 2,100 bucks in this trade. And then my adjust point, what did I say, about 50 cents or something? Oh, I was off by, look at that, I was off by a penny. That's pretty damn close, man, for some mental math. My adjust point on this trade would be a 75% loss of the credit I took in, or $1,600. Again, I'm not going to, sorry, don't have a ton of time to answer all those great questions, but there's my adjust level right there. If I'm down $1,600 in this trade, what is it going to take his oxygen mask off? I'm going to scratch my chin and go, all right, Apple's going against me. Should I roll it down? Should I roll it down and out? Or should I close it? And that's why you're going to become a member, because I'm going to tell you what I'm doing with it. All right, Goldman Sachs, Apple's done. Pretty shit hot coverage of the trade plan and showing you why I'm bullish on Apple, short term and long term. So here's here's Wiz going, the polls are lying to you. The mainstream media is full of liberals. 90% of them are all Democrats and liberals. It's a lie. Trump's going to win, and we're going to see a 10% market rally. Get in the financials. Guess what happened? Wiz was right. The media was wrong, and they're full of shit. A couple of my members were up over $140,000 in one Goldman Sachs trade. Men lie, numbers don't. Let's take a look at this. Well, this is before it popped even higher. Look at Mike. Mike was up 111 grand on 20 contracts. Diane, she was up too. Wait a minute. I think this is the more up-to-date slide. No, 36, 19. I mean, folks, on one Goldman Sachs trade. Now I know, all right, Wiz, well, that's looking in the rearview mirror. What I'm saying is it's going to do this again. We had a rise on Trump. This is kind of my commit criteria. I should have told you. Obviously, strategic mindset, cautiously bullish. Target, Goldman Sachs, step 3 commit criteria. The financials had a hell of a run after the election, hoping that Trump was going to get his legislative agenda passed and he was going to repeal Franken-Dodd and the Fed's going to start raising interest rates. That didn't happen. It is going to happen now. So the financials are about to take another leg up. Therefore, I am very long-term bullish on Goldman Sachs. Boom. Dennis, up 5 grand on one contract. Folks, Dennis is a member here. 5 grand, one contract with Dennis there. Awesome, Dennis. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's my commit criteria for my Goldman Sachs trade. So here's what's really cool about this tactic I'm going to show you. You ready for the tactic? Write this down because a lot of you have never seen this trade. I'm going to show you so much cool stuff, it's going to blow your mind. This trade is called a long call diagonal with a protective put. Now with this tactic, ladies and gentlemen, we can be bipolar on a trade, and so can I. What do I mean by that? We can be long-term bullish on Goldman Sachs. The Fed's going to be raising interest rates. Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, is going to repeal or gut Franken-Dodd. They'll get rid of the Volcker rule. These guys, the banks are going to start printing money once again someday. The South will rise again, right? Well, the financials are going to rise again. Well, Wiz, I'm going to wait until they do. When do you know that's going to happen? I can't give you a date and time. I just know it's going to. So why don't we do it now? So step 4, the tactic is called a long call diagonal with a protective put. Let's get into step 5, tactical employment. Here's how you do a long call diagonal with a protective put. And I'm going to ignore questions, guys, because I'm going to blow through it. And then you got to become a member because there's an hour-and-a-half training session just on a long call diagonal. But in my live trade briefs, we just go through it pretty quick because you already have the training, okay? And if you don't, you can. I point you back to the training videos. Hey guys, here's the training video on a long call diagonal with protected put. Make sure you watch it. Okay, awesome. Yep, I got both texts because I'm also registered as an attendee. So yep, everybody should have. Okay, why are my option strikes not coming up here? Let's go to Jan 19. So here's what we do, ladies and gentlemen. Watch this. To do a long call diagonal with a protective put, everybody strap into your Hornet. Let's go the speed of light, and let's go all the way out to January of 2019. Why? What do you mean why? We want to go out as far in time as we can to give this trade as much time as we can to work. Make sense? I am bullish as far out in time as I humanly can on Goldman Sachs. And using this the current leaps are out to Jan 19. All right? Now, on my Options House platform, calls are on the left and puts are on the right. I'm going to collapse the puts for now because I want to uncover a Greek called delta. All right, Wiz, you scared me with the theta discussion, but I got it. I got time decay. Don't freak out about delta. Here's a reason why I'm going to show you delta here. And look, I already have this trade on. This is awesome. Delta, you ready for the quick definition of delta? There's a couple. Here's one I'm going to give you. Delta is the rate of change in the prices of these options chains right here based on the rate of change on the underlying. And look, Goldman Sachs is already up 1% today going into the Fed meeting. So an option with a delta of 1.0. This is 0.87, guys. Do me a favor. I don't want to open this option chain and go to the moon. Just let's pretend these the 140 calls right here, that says 1.0. It doesn't, but here's why. Holy crap, Wiz, those things are like 87 bucks. Well, that's because, folks, an option with a delta of 1.0 means if Goldman Sachs goes up $2.54 today, these go up $2. It's a one-for-one change. Well, that makes sense, guys. Look at this. The light gray background here means these are in the money options. The white background here means what? They're out of the money. So if one delta option is way deep in the money and it costs a lot, look at this. A 0.5 delta is right around at the money and it's cheap as hell. Makes sense, doesn't it? So here's what Wiz does. Wiz threads the needle between a really expensive deep in the money call and an at the money call, and I find the call closest to a 0.8 delta. Now I am giving you a little bit of my secret sauce. I'll tell you why when you become a member, but I want to buy the calls that are at a 0.8 delta. Okay, so I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to click Create Spread, and then I'm going to click Diagonal. Options House already has this thing loaded up. Yeah, whoever just asked, I do have a relationship with Options House. You can go to optionshouse.com/TGO. That's pretty easy to remember, Top Gun Options, and you get 60 days commission-free trading. I'll give you this link. You can open a free paper trading account too. You don't have to fund it. I think you get real-time quotes for 60 days, and then they go to not real-time if you don't fund it. But yeah, I know a lot of people who use the tools on Options House and then fire their trades, through who they currently use. But yeah, there's the link if you want to open an Options House account. Tell them Wiz sent you with that link. So here we go. I'm going to add edit legs and watch what I do here. I'm going to buy the Jan 19 170 calls. Now let me get rid of this right here. If you believe me up until now, Wiz, I like your strategic mindset. I also like your commit criteria on Goldman Sachs specifically. Lloyd Blankfein is a genius. Goldman Sachs is the Death Star. It is. So you could do this. You could just buy, I'll leave 10 in here for now as a placeholder, folks. It's probably not going to be 10 contracts. Just hang with me. I'm going to buy 10 of the Jan 19 170 calls. You could do this, ladies and gentlemen. You could buy these calls, put them in your filing cabinet, and look at them in a couple years. And I'd go, you're an idiot. Link to sign up for membership. Kathy, I appreciate the, tomorrow afternoon, guys, after the accelerated retirement webinar is when we're going to open the 50 slots, Kathy. So I'll give you the link to sign up tomorrow, okay? Because I want to focus on the content. I appreciate the early interest. But ladies and gentlemen, buying this deep in the money 80 Delta call, it's like buying a Ferrari down here in Boca Raton. Unless you got a sugar mama or sugar daddy, you got to make some pretty serious monthly payments. So watch what I'm going to do. You ready for this? So, Kathy, it actually doesn't cost a lot. With the SPX trade and the VXX trade from yesterday, in one day, I paid for an annual membership. And as a matter of fact, the prices will be going up during the next full throttle. They were supposed to go up to this one, but I haven't had time. So, oh no, oh, Goldman Sachs, exactly. Oh, no. But Kathy, watch what I'm going to do. So buying these deep in the money 80 Delta calls is stupid. You know why? Why don't we sell the front month? What's the front month? You're in it. June, July, August. These are called the front months. Why don't we sell a front month, June, upside call? So if Goldman Sachs is trading at 225 right now, I'm going to go out to next Friday. I'm not going to go out too far in these financials. Let me look real quick. So guys, buying this deep in the money 80 Delta call costs $63.02. Watch what Wiz does when I find a sugar mama or a sugar daddy and sell some front month upside calls. I'm already making us money, guys. It went from $62 to $60.76. So Kathy, I'm already starting to reduce my cost basis on this. So here's what's cool about a long call diagonal, ladies and gentlemen. I said it a couple minutes ago, but I ignored it. You can be bipolar, and so can I. Look at Goldman Sachs lately. It's moving sideways. So I can be long-term bullish on Goldman Sachs out to January of 2019, but I can be short-term neutral. Look at Goldman. Up, down, up, down, up, down. It looks like it's moving sideways with this 227.5-ish. So look at what Wiz just did. He's buying the Jan 19 170 calls because he is long-term strategically bullish. But short-term, Wiz is neutral on Goldman Sachs. Isn't this cool? So with this tactic, ladies and gentlemen, I just answered that, Kathy, the 227.5, because look at this. It's been short-term resistance. Look at that, right around 227.5. Okay? Now, let me click, and I'm going to click create order. Now, this is very, very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. Do not ever come in at the ask on this trade. Again, you got to become a member, and I'll explain all this stuff, but if you come in on the ask, an idiot light is going to flash on every market maker's computer, and you're going to get filled on this trade in the blink. It's going to be like a piranha attack, and you're going to be down about $500 right out of the gate. Here's what I do with a long call diagonal, since it's a debit spread, and you're never, ever going to get filled at mid-market. I go between the mid and the ask and walk it on up. What do I mean? Where do you go, Wiz? I don't know. Right about there. 6160. How'd you come up with that? I just said I don't know. I go between the mid and the ask, and I fire this trade. And then I do what's called the Starbucks rule. After my primary live trade brief, if I'm not filled, I'm going to go to Starbucks, going to go talk to people I don't know and annoy them. 20 minutes later, I'm going to come back home. I'm going to sit down, and if I'm not filled on this, I'm going to walk it on up a couple pennies. Refire it. Maybe go pick my kids up from school or summer camp. I'm still not filled. Maybe I walk it up a little bit. What am I doing, ladies and gentlemen? I can't stand Warren Buffett. He's a liberal hypocrite, but he has a great quote. You ready? If you pay one more penny in taxes than you owe, you're an idiot. If you pay one penny less, you're a felon. I think about the debit spreads the same way. If I pay one penny more than I should have for a debit spread, I feel horrible. So I walk it on up and try and get filled eventually. Does that make sense? Okay. John, yes, I am. That's why I'm, John's very good point, John, doing the front month before the Fed meeting. John, we're already up 1% today. I think we maybe get another % tomorrow. Sometimes, whoever asked earlier, is this priced in? I think it might be even a little sell on the Fed announcement. So that's why, yes. And Chris is bringing up the same point. Folks, you fly and fight your own jet. I love the way you guys are looking. If you don't like that, maybe you don't put on this front month call. I am. I think you guys know with a lot of these announcements, sometimes it's a little bit of a sell on the news. And if you don't think it's going to be a sell on the news, maybe you go up a little higher to the 230s. Okay? So I'm going to click create order. I'm going to walk it on up in between the mid and the ask to where, Wiz? I don't know, right about there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when I click analyze, I already told you I'm going to turn into that Catholic nun. When I click analyze, you're going to do the same thing, and you're going to be freaked the hell out. You're going to take a look at max risk first. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Max risk. All right, Wiz, are you smoking crack? I thought your SOP said you don't want to risk more than $5,000 on any one trade. You're right. You know what? If you buy Goldman Sachs, if you buy a Goldman Sachs long call, or you buy Goldman Sachs stock, what is the risk to that trade? Don't give me a dollar number. What is the risk if you're long Goldman Sachs? What's the risk? Somebody tell me. What is your risk with buying Goldman Sachs? Exactly. Exactly, Thor, Brad, Fish. You guys know this. The risk is the underlying Goldman Sachs going to zero. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you right now, if Goldman Sachs goes to zero, that's the least of our worries. I'll be in Montana with my AR-15, my gold, my butter, and my bullets. Goldman Sachs ain't going to zero. But guess what, folks? The risk management department at Options House doesn't care. They say, Wiz, I know you're a savvy and smart trader. We think Goldman Sachs isn't going to zero either, but that's not the way we run our business. So a couple things we can do to this trade. First of all, I had 10 contracts up here. That doesn't seem like that's going to be the right thing to do. So I'm probably going to have to lower my contracts that I'm trading. But what else could I do, ladies and gentlemen? And I don't want my current members to answer because I want to see if some of our new members can figure this out. So current members, don't answer. Potential new members, Kathy, looks like you're pretty interested. I want you guys to answer this. How do we show, what could we add to this trade? Right now I have 2 legs. What could I add to this trade to tell the Options House risk department that even if Goldman Sachs goes to zero, I'm going to be okay? Jimmy, Bill, RW, look at you guys, Thor. We could buy a protective put. So you ready for this? Let's go back to our trade. Awesome. Look at that. I'm getting another person asking to sign up already. Maybe I'll do full throttle going forward and I'll do 2 sessions instead of the whole week. Okay, I'm kidding. So I just lowered my contracts to 3. Let's see if that works. But I'm also going to add a disaster put. Now listen to me. All right, stop. Everybody stop typing. I'm not going to look. Listen to me. Here's what we could do. Here's my rule of thumb for the disaster put. What would be a disaster for me with Goldman Sachs? If Goldman Sachs went down 20%, everybody knows the definition of a bear market, right? Well, this stock is in a bear market, it's down 20%. So my math that I use is I use 20%. If Goldman Sachs, let's just round up and say that's 225. What's that, 44, 45? What is that, 180? Oh, Brad did the math for me, 180. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to buy the 180 disaster puts. And look at this. You can already see the ski slope. Instead of the risk of Goldman Sachs flying into the dirt, well, Wiz, you bought that put and you told the Options House Risk Department to kiss your butt. Now let's take a look at the metrics of this trade. So before, and again, let's walk it on up. Let me go between the mid and the ask. Where? Don't know. I'm going to stop at 72.95. Now, the trade that I just showed you without the disaster put had a risk of $62,000. Some of you might not even have a brokerage account that size. Look at the magic I just did. You ready? 3, 2, 1, $5,900. By lowering my contracts and adding a disaster put, I did what? I brought this down to a manageable, nice $5,900. And I already told you guys, I had traders that did 20 of these. Whoever just told me, one of my members, I did 1 of these and I'm up $5,000 already, Wiz. So again, this is me. Okay? Mike, why buy a put instead of selling a call? I'm doing both, Mike. I'm selling a front month upside call and also a disaster put. Guys, let me get moving here. A lot of great questions. We got to finish by 11:30. Isn't this awesome, ladies and gentlemen? Forget the max profit here. that max profit's wrong. It's if it's this right here is if the disaster put works. Here, when I hover over this, if Goldman Sachs is below 230 bucks by next Friday, this trade brings in about $1,100. Could you imagine? And this is the tactic that I do every week, ladies and gentlemen. Every week, I'm going to bring in that car payment. So even if Goldman Sachs is just kind of moving sideways or going down, I'm going to bring in some scratch, folks, to pay for that Ferrari. I'm going to sell front month upside calls. So ladies and gentlemen, if by next Friday, June 23rd, Goldman Sachs is below 230, I keep a full $1,100. What if it's above that, Wiz? I manage it. I buy back these calls and I roll them up and out to the next Friday. Sometimes that happens, guys. Sometimes our short calls get hit because Goldman does a pop. You have to be happy with that, guys. So remember, folks, this trade makes money two ways. It makes money on our front month upside calls, as long as they don't go in the money, and it makes money on these deep in the money 80 delta calls going what? Deeper in the money. Isn't that cool? Very, 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 very cool tactic, isn't it? Okay. John, the long call does act as protection, but guess what? But the risk of a long call, ladies and gentlemen, is what? I just explained this to you guys. You got to listen. Is the underlying. If you buy a long call, guys, it's the same thing as buying the stock. The risk of just buying the long call is what? Goldman Sachs going to zero, guys. So that's why you need the disaster put. 50,000 great questions from potential new members. I'm not going to answer them all, guys. When you become a member, none of you will ever leave a live trade brief with a question mark over your head or a clue bird on your shoulder. And even if you do, because you don't ask a question, you can get into our Ready Room on our website. We have an interactive forum where you can get in there and ask me or Doug, hey, Wiz, I have a question on the primary live trade brief, blah, 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 blah. So with 6,000 people registered for Full Throttle, guys, I cannot answer all of your questions on the long call diagonal. That's why you're going to become a member. But this is a new trade. This is an awesome new trade. So I gave you an Apple front month and a Goldman Sachs Jan 19. And we have a weekly options trade that I placed yesterday that hopefully my members closed for over an $1,100 profit. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing I did with Apple. You ready? I'm going to grab the trade, and if you're sitting in death by meeting right now at work, I'm going to send this to you. Here we go. It goes out to my primary live trade brief, folks. Paste. PLTB, that's the portfolio. New Goldman Sachs long call diagonal with I'll write it out, protective put. I usually put PP. I'm going to sell 3 of the June 23rd 230 calls. Thank you for the compliment. It is, this is pretty cool. Just one of my biggest metrics of success, folks, is people who say, we've had people here since day one, for 7 years. Not that they haven't learned anything. They stay for the trade ideas, the camaraderie, but thank you for that. Whoever just, Rebecca, I appreciate it. I'm going to buy the Jan 19 180 disaster puts, and I'm going to buy, oops, it was back here. I'm going to buy these, buy the Jan 19 170 calls. Oops. At, okay, man, need your glasses. Don't want to put them on. That's embarrassing. Calls. Is there an, what am I doing here? CALLS. Whatever. At a 72.75 debit, and watch what I put. Walk on up from there. And I demonstrated what the walk on up from there means. Tom, I stay for the melodic tones of Wiz's voice. The trains aren't banned either. Tom gets the funny star for today. Thank you, Tom. So I'm going to blast that off to my members, and then I'm going to also blast off to the people who registered and gave us your cell phone number. Whoever said, I gave you my cell phone number when I registered and I didn't get the trade. That's why sometimes we're doing a test right now where we might just go with all email delivery. So for now, I'm showing you the capability of our text messages, no promises. Emails might win out here, but don't worry about it. We'll talk about this later. So if you gave us your number, and if whoever told me you didn't get the text and you gave us your number, there are the members who are having issues are Canadians. No offense to our 51st state, or no, that's Puerto Rico, 52nd state. Some Canadian telecom, actually all Canadian telecom companies, the text comes from a 5-digit number because the world's running out of phone numbers, and the Canadian telecom companies think it's spam. It ain't spam, but it's an ass pain for our Canadians, so that's why we might just go to Tom. And where else can you find shit hot trading advice? Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Ed, yes, I am recording this. Like I said at the beginning, guys, everything is going to be on this page. I'm going to put up this recording after I stretch my legs and email out the trades to my members, and then the recording is going to get put up on the member page, but it's also going to get put up on this page. Here is last night's replay, and here is underneath or on top of this. So the newest one will be on the top of this page. So in about 30 minutes, this replay will be posted on this page. It'll be posted on my member page, but it'll be also posted on here. Okay, but yeah, let me go back to the trade here. And we'll blast that one away. So who said Apple was selling off? This Apple trade's up 200 bucks right now. So again, guys, don't watch it tick by tick. Now it's up 225 bucks. Give me a hell yeah if you like making 225 bucks since we placed this Apple trade. 11% return. Give me a hell yeah, folks. Yep, good. Excellent. Yep. Add that to the trades, the SPX bull put spread from yesterday. Okay, I have exactly 4 minutes. I start on time and I end on time, or I try to all the time. Give me, hit me with your questions, concerns. Oh, by the ways, Thor, I'm not. Nope. Here's one of the things you're going to learn about me. I don't trade stuff I don't know. I used to trade the hell out of the GLD, and I stopped. There's phantom positions in here. These are old. Gold miners and stuff, I'm done with them. The only thing I would use gold as a hedge now is for the end of the world type of trade. Oil and gold, ladies and gentlemen. I'm looking, one of the reasons I was in Chicago last week was I interviewed a couple potential options on commodities traders. And we might add a new portfolio here at Top Gun Options for folks. There's my 2 texts. I got that. We might add an options on commodities portfolio. But Thor, I don't trade gold. It's frustrating for me. You bet, Salim. I received both trades. You got it. David, how do you feel about subbing a 70 Delta Gen 19 call instead to bring down the cost? David, I don't have time. I didn't have time to go into all that stuff, but David, I love the way you're thinking. The answer is yes. Play with the disaster put. Listen to me, folks. If you use a disaster put that's 10% below the stock price of Goldman Sachs, guess what? The cost of the trade is going to go up because it's likely that Goldman might go down 10. If you want to lower the cost of the trade, maybe you do the disaster put that's 30 or 40%. No kidding, a disaster. With a disaster for Goldman Sachs would be if it went down 50%. Well, take a look at the 50% puts. Playing with either the 80 Delta call or the disaster puts is going to change the price of the trade. We could literally sit here for the entire trading day and go through all those various scenarios. Don't have the time for that, so I give you the 80 Delta call, the puts 20% below the stock price, and then you know what, guys, I forgot to cover this, and I'm going to do it in 2 minutes, and it's going to leave you guys wanting. Because here's the rule of thumb. You ready for this? Write this down right now. If a stock is moving sideways, you ready for this? I tend to sell my front month upside call that is about 2.5 to 5% out of the money. Why? Because I want to give myself a little bit of altitude. Okay, write that down. If a stock is moving sideways, sell the front month upside call. That is 2.5 to 5% out of the money. Now, if a stock is on a tear, so this would be flat. I sell front month upside calls, 2.5 to 5% out of the money. This would be a nice climb schedule. Let's say a stock is climbing like that. Then I sell the front month upside calls that are what? 7.5 to 10% out of the money. And then my rule of thumb for a stock that all of a sudden decides to go on a tear, get out of the way. Grab your Starbucks, put your boots up on the table, put your hands behind your head and smile as that 0.8 delta call becomes a 0.85, a 0.9, and becomes a 1 delta call, and it's printing money. If a stock is on a tear, ladies and gentlemen, do not try and step in front of the damn thing and sell some front month upside calls. It's stupid. It's frustrating, and you might actually end up losing money on it as the damn stock's going up. Don't. Yes, I will say that one more time, even though we're at 11:30. If a stock is kind of just trading sideways, flat, the upside calls that you sell should be about 2.5 to 5% out of the money. If a stock is on kind of a 45-degree climb angle, give yourself a little bit of altitude and sell the front month upside calls that are what? 7.5 to 10% out of the money. And then the final one, if it's on a tear, enjoy the ride and get out of the way. Okay? Now, I'm not going to repeat that again because we're out of time, and I want you guys to become members. Guys, we do this all week, every week. This is going to become second nature to you. It's going to become like breathing. I told you last night, if you don't feel like you're drinking out of a fire hose this week, I didn't do my job. Okay? So, Debbie, great questions. Daniel, great questions. Wiz, TGO only tells the truth and honesty. Thanks, Fish. I appreciate it. Good stuff, Wiz. Thanks. Have a great day. You bet, Kevin. Where on the website is the interactive forum? Chris, it's called the Ready Room. It is right here. Let me show you, Chris. And then we got to go. So for my members, because I know we have some new folks from the Options Weapon School launch, it's right here. Go under member content, and where's Ready Room? It's right here. So click on Ready Room. The Ready Room of a fighter squadron, ladies and gentlemen, is where you go and you hang out in between flights and you shoot the shit with the senior pilots, the junior pilots. I learned more about flying and fighting the Hornet from the Ready Room. VXX double vertical, JPM head and shoulders, urgent alerts, trade recommendations, VIX trade, Brazil iron condor. So you can get in here in between the live trade brief, guys and gals, and ask questions. There's the live trade briefs thread, the training, Wingman group coaching, support, and general market individual trades. Okay, so this is when you become a member, guys. You can't get in there right now. Okay, Susan. Douglas, really appreciate your no bullshit, heartfelt honesty. Thank you, Douglas. Well, that's the way I was raised. Like I told you guys last night, poor Irish Catholic kid, one of 6 from New Jersey, went in the Navy, flew fighters for 15 years. You wouldn't last a day in a squadron, Doug, without that stuff, but I appreciate the compliment. And I'm trying to raise my children to be the same as me, if not better. All right, guys, I went over by 2 minutes, which means the next live event, I'll buy you guys 2 drinks for me going over 2 minutes. Robert, thank you for my first brush stroke. Overwhelming. Need more suck-in time for the brain. Need to set up a U.S. account as you are Canadian. Robert, you got it, man. We have, Robert, as of our last launch, we have 37 countries represented here at TGO. It's pretty freaking cool. Aussies, China. I got a couple buddies in Afghanistan who watch the replays. And remember, folks, just because you work for, I work for a living, 80% of our members work. You got text alerts. Now I'm going to send out an email with the images of the trades along with the replay. So a lot of people who couldn't attend, they'll watch the replay during lunch, or they'll watch it when the kids go to bed. So remember, and I'll show you this one quote. Where is it? I'm going to show you something. One of my traders. Where is it? You ready for this? Look at this. I forget his name. Look at this, guys, right here. Chris, I'm so geeked. I've been a subscriber for almost 3 years now, and this is the first time I've been able to attend live. I only know you via the replays. Isn't that cool? For 3 years, this person never attended a live trade brief. Got all the text alerts, got all the trades, watched the replays, had the same performance as everybody else. So you don't have to attend things live, guys. And if you do watch the replays and you have a question, you just ask in the Ready Room. Isn't that cool? So, RW, I don't like the XLF. It's a waste of money. I have an XLF position on, and I hate it. I'm going to get out of it. So, but great questions, guys. JM, I'm going to do a video on that. I'm not going to answer that right now. I told you at the beginning that I'm going to do a video update for my PLTB members, okay, because we didn't have time to go through our portfolio today. So JM, I'm going to do a PLTB video update. and I'll send that out to you guys in a little bit. All right, folks. Well, hopefully you're having a great time in our full throttle training. The next thing on your flight schedule is 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Wednesday is accelerated retirement. And then tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern, you're going to get vertical spread training with Doug Robertson. And that's a sample of the 8 sessions you're going to get once you join our annual membership program here. And like I just said, in a day, I literally paid for an annual membership into our program here at TGO. You're welcome, guys. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. I'll post the replay on the replay page here shortly. So if you missed anything, you can watch it again, okay? It's pretty easy to remember. go.topgunoptions.com/ft-replay. And also, you need to sign up for my free daily video. Even if you don't become a member, guys, you want to sign up for my sit rep. I'm going to shoot it right now. You guys just got an hour and a half sit rep, but it's right here. Make sure you sign up for my sit rep. It's right there. go.topgunoptions.com/sitrep. All right, guys, God bless. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. I'll see many of you tomorrow at 1 o'clock for the accelerated retirement, or I'll see you tomorrow night for Doug Robertson's full throttle vertical spread training. We'll see you. Whiz out.